From the top rope, this is the Squared Circus.
Square! Ah! That's the occult phenomenon. You know what I think?
Recording in progress.
I realize I like paint.
That was a botch. Hold on.
So, anyway, that's how it's gonna go.
So good. It's just so good.
Music to my ears.
No.
What does that mean anyway? Music to my ears. What else is music to? It's to your ears. It's just music.
That's true. Yeah, but I guess some sounds aren't necessarily music to some people's ears. So maybe that's why.
Okay.
So if you hear something, you're like, but some people are like, man, this is music in my ears, like, because it means they enjoy it.
I feel like that's a much more empathetic perspective. Now I feel like a jerk.
That's all right. But speaking of music, I'm not too sure.
Speaking of music, you're not gonna say anything about music now.
No. I have to, because the Collision theme song, I don't know if it fits. You see Saturday how I turned that around?
Yeah, you made it. You know, I'll take it.
I don't know, because like I get what they're going for, but it just doesn't seem like. I don't know.
I've talked about this before.
Have you?
AEW, one of the problems. No, well, the thing I'm about to talk about, that like they just don't gear themselves enough to a younger audience. And I'm saying this as a member of the older audience, and somebody who likes that song and likes Elton John, but like, is there anything cool about Elton John in 2023?
Yeah, it just because it's a Saturday, I don't know.
Saturday nights are right for fighting.
I get it, but like it just didn't seem like it fits it. Because then as soon as the theme song comes on, because it's almost like a la 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 song, like, you know, it's almost like a happy go lucky, and then all of a sudden you see fireworks, and then two people beating the shit out of each other. Like it just seems kind of odd and off to me.
By today's standards, especially. I mean, when Elton John made that song, music was just a different thing.
No, it was music to your ears.
Music, yes. How much has music evolved in those 40 years or so? Like,
yeah,
there's stuff that's so much more edgy than that. Like, there was no hip hop, there was no punk rock and hardcore, and now you've got this much edgier music, and they're using that to. I mean, and don't get me wrong, like a lot of the stuff, like the theme songs they use for Dynamite and Rampage, I don't think are that cool.
No,
they're quote unquote.
This is actually
edgy,
worse to me though.
They're manufactured edgy.
This one is actually worse to me just because it just doesn't set the tone to me.
Yeah.
Like, automatically when I see it, I hear it and I'm like, and then it goes into it and you're like, I don't know. It just seems kind of off. Maybe just because we were around, like it's more, but so I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people had mixed reviews on that. I just noticed that the last time I watched it. And speaking of Collision, I feel like we've discussed this before.
Yeah.
It's like, there's not too many people I like on the roster. FTR is cool so far that I've seen, but it does seem like a brand split, because you have people that
it does,
like Myro. Who the fuck is tuning in on a Saturday to watch Myro? I mean, you know, Andrade, like these are people that, like, it's not even just us saying it. Like, if you read articles or people talking, no one talks about these people. You know, no. Hobbs kind of went down. You know, not too many people talk about Hobbs anymore. They kind of like ditched away with his whole storyline, this and that, and now he just appears on Saturday.
And I mean, so Hobbs is I like Hobbs. I feel like they never really found the spot that he was comfortable in, but like, also, let's be honest, he is part of the worst thing in wrestling since the Nightmare Collective. QTV is fucking dreadful, unwatchable cringe. I can't. And QT Marshall's fine, but the whole shtick is awful and just painful to watch. Everything it touches is just destroyed.
I missed him when he was with Starks and Swerve was with Lee, and they had the whole thing with they were constantly was on Rampage. It felt like Rampage felt special then too, and they actually had good storylines, and it just seemed like everyone went to like shit. And I get it, you can't really have it all in once, but like I'm not gonna watch Saturday for a Punk. like or FTR. Like I just can't. If the matches keep on going the way it is, it's like, and I guess I mean some people probably like them, so that's cool, you know. But to be on a Saturday at 8:00 is very hard to get people to watch, especially when you have the roster like that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like they're pushing Joe a lot too, as part of like Collision. Like if that intro montage is any indication, you know, Joe's in there like 5 times or something.
Samoa Joe?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, then I could care less.
Yeah, it's like Joe Punk. I mean, first of all, we talked about this briefly. Like, well, let me start from the baseline. Like, what it seems to me is like they're obviously trying to do a different show to appeal to a different type of audience, which is fine. I appreciate that. I might not be a member of that audience.
Yeah, me neither.
And the focus on ex-WWE guys makes me feel like maybe this is like trying to draw in WWE fans. So you've got Joe, Miro, Punk,
FTR. I mean, they were
FTR. Like, yeah, all these ex-WWE people are kind of like the main focus on this show. So I don't know. Oh, Andrade was the other one.
Yeah. Now, is Joe still the champion of Ring of Honor? Who the hell is the champion? Oh, that's Claudio. Claudio. What the hell is
Joe's the TV champ.
Oh, okay. I forgot. It's been so long since.
Which was like also like I can't even. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that, but and the whole feel of Collision, like I appreciate that they made it a completely different feel. Like the graphics look nothing like Dynamite or Rampage. The music does set it apart. The announcer team is a much different feel. Also, both I think ex-WWE people. I don't know how long ago Kevin Kelly worked for WWE, but I think he did, maybe like 15 or 20 years ago when I wasn't paying attention. Having the announcers ringside instead of on the stage, the completely different stage setup.
I like that. But you know, a lot of it is almost WWE with the ring, because don't they still have the announcers on the by the ringside?
I know.
Yeah, even the matches though, like I watched last Saturday, and I'm like, I didn't really care for it, and I don't know if like again, I could be abnormal, like, you know, maybe it's not a popular opinion, but I watched them, I'm like, okay, this is all right, but nothing really stood out to me. Nothing. Like it doesn't seem. I mean, I know it's new too. Maybe they have to grow more storylines, but it doesn't seem like anything is really there that to make me say, "Oh, I gotta watch Saturday. What's gonna happen next week?" Like, so far, all they did was like they'll post like pictures or shit of the matches, or they'll announce the matches, and it's not like anything like leading to anything. You know what I'm saying? Like MGF came out this Saturday and he was like, oh, you know, and then he took on someone that we knew that he wasn't going to win. But MGF says the same things. Okay, I'm going to bash the place on the mat. I'm going to bash all the people in the back. Yeah. And then that's pretty much his. This is why I kind of like, I thought MGF was so good at first, but then like his things are exactly the same now to me. It's always bashing the town, bashing your opponents, showing how good you are. No one can beat you. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know. I guess there's only so many times you could come out and do heel promos and be fresh and original every time, you know? So I have to give him a little bit of leeway for that, because he still does a good job at doing that. Sometimes, the content is repetitive, but
I feel like though there's some people can do that, even if they're repetitive. I guess his charisma, even though he has charisma, I guess his whole charisma doesn't seem like a person that like I could get along with, like, of saying like the same things over and over again. Like Steve Austin said a lot of the same crap, or like The Rock and this and that, but like because the charisma and the characters itself, it's like it felt different to me. Even though they're saying the same shit, you look forward to it and this and that or whatever.
Yeah.
But
well, like also, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, like, the crowds were a lot more live back then, and I think last night in particular, we were recording this on Sunday. It was pretty that wasn't a dead crowd, but it wasn't a particularly hot crowd. And it looked like it wasn't a huge crowd. Like at certain camera angles, you could see large portions of the arena blacked out. And they just weren't showing other parts of the arena with their sweeping camera shots. So, Steve Austin could get out there and say, "Can I get a hell yeah?" every week, and everybody pops for it in the live arena. Then yeah, the people at home find it more exciting too. Where MJF is out there,
that's true,
doing this promo and getting kind of a lukewarm reaction instead of like, if it was like a sold out show in Chicago and it would just generate all this heat and then there could be crowd interactions. But I mean, like, I think
where were they Saturday?
Hamilton, Ontario.
Okay, kind of, right?
Yeah, which is not far from like major cities either. It's not that far from Toronto.
They just announced
didn't get
WrestleMania for London soon.
Oh wow!
And like, because Cena actually announced it during the WWE pay-per-view, and like he went to the crowd and like the crowd just went nuts, and like, so you're right, it is a difference because it was like 17,000 people there. WrestleMania was never in London. Now it's like they're taking it there and the crowd just went ballistic.
Oh, do you think that's like trying to like
100%
take a shot at AEW for doing All In England?
100%.
Yeah,
I knew exactly what you're gonna say. I'm like,
I figured you did.
So I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're both gonna be playing these little cutesy back and forth like things. But yeah. It's so, and again, back to Collision though. Like, yeah. I get it and I understand it. But like, it just doesn't seem. There was also less promos, and I understand some people like that. I noticed that there was less promos.
Yeah, they try to, I think, condense them a little bit. Like in the beginning, they did all those little video packages for the people who were facing each other in the Owen Hart thing. So that everybody had like a 30-second promo, which I don't think was bad, but
I noticed that there's not many promos and skits as much. So I get it. I get the trying to get people like more wrestling than that. But like, again, this is just my preference. I like the promos and skits when it's done correctly. You know what I'm saying? I like more of a storyline and more of a base thing like that.
Yeah.
So it definitely does seem a different feel.
Yeah.
Even the crowds, like I know that like in different places, but like it seems like the word of mouth and stuff like that. I think a lot of people are kind of disappointed in what Collision is bringing. I don't think it's just me. I think a lot of people are like, well, if you're going to add another 2 hours to make us watch on a Saturday night,
not to mention another live show,
Miro,
right? You're diluting the pool, the fan base pool. How many shows can you do before people stop going? How many times can you come through
the internet fans say? Because I know the internet fan says this bashes both worlds, and I guarantee you most. I don't care about that either. Most common fans though watch a little bit of both. I mean, I understand you don't watch some, but like a lot of them do. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of them do watch a little bit of both. They pick and start. Like, I don't want to watch Raw because of this and that. And everyone has their own preference. But when you have all this selection, a lot of people like Impact too. So when you have all this shit, add in a Saturday show, I just felt like there should have been a little bit more something. I understand they got Punk back and now it's the first episode, but we already discussed that. Like after the first episode, where did he go from there? All I hear is how a lot of people say that he's rusty and that's why he needs tag teams and which is good. I think that's a smart move, but you can't rely on one person for a Saturday show, especially who's accident prone and he's a ticking time bomb that any day something can happen. So you can't base a Saturday show at 8:00 with one person.
Also, like, what did he do last night? He did announcing.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't watch that match, but
I don't know. It was just like, oh, let's just stick him on, just to stick him on.
Yeah, but is that gonna make people want to go to the show? I mean, if they're relying on Punk to sell tickets and fill seats, if people aren't guaranteed that they're gonna get a CM Punk performance, and he's just gonna do announcing or show up for 5 seconds to hold Ricky Starks' arm up and point at him, like,
Yeah.
Did people pay money to see that? How many people paid money to come see Punk and got that and are disappointed now, are not going to come the next time they go to Hamilton or Toronto?
The whole entire roster or card that you saw. Yes, you have probably some people that went for MGF. Not even some go, because obviously if the live arena is different, people are going to want to go to a live show regardless. So I'm just talking about people who are watching, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because most of the time, if I knew that like AEW was going to a show like right near me where I could just sit there and go quickly, I probably would get a ticket. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like most people are going to go regardless of the card. But for the people who are watching, I think it's huge just because we have the choice then. We're like, well, we didn't pay for the show. We have the choice of watching or not. And I feel like when you look at that card, I feel like a few people would watch maybe for MGF just to see what he says. They were obviously queuing to see what Punk does. And there was really not much left for me to star power for people to say, I need to watch this show.
Yeah.
Or storylines to see what happens next, or, you know, anything. So when you say like, okay, when if that's all Punk did and people get disappointed at that show, then like, okay, is it just going to be his name announced for next week too, and he just does a couple of sentences? I'm like, you know, people will start to say, okay, I don't have to really watch it.
Yeah,
you know, I could just look at the
and I can't even put my finger on what exactly it is. Like, there's like, okay, there are people on here I'm not terribly interested in. Joe, Miro, Andrade was starting to like, I was getting like, you know, I was starting to get interested in that storyline. What are they going to do with him? But it's already like last night, whatever they were trying to do to keep the story going just was like, I want my mask. I need my mask. I don't know. It wasn't compelling.
Yeah.
And like, and there were people on the show that I do really like. Like, I love Juice Robinson. You know, Dustin is great.
Dustin is great, but I knew he was going to lose. But yes,
Statlander and Frost. I was looking forward to that match. I really liked them both. Didn't end up being a great match, but like, you know, everybody has an off night. I don't blame them, but like something about the overall MJF, the whole beginning thing with the squash match leading into the thing with Ethan Page, like that was cool. Ethan Page did a great promo, did a babyface promo, which was, you know, he did a good job, and like, maybe the crowd was hotter for that than anything because he's a local guy. He's probably like the biggest guy on the card who's from Hamilton.
Yeah.
But also, how many people in that arena are from Hamilton? You know what I mean? It's not like if they came to New York and people have like, you know, anybody from the surrounding New York area identifies with New York, where like people who come from Toronto to see a show in Hamilton, are they identifying with Hamiltonians? I doubt it.
You never know though, just because if they don't have it where they don't have a lot of shows, then it is pretty much your hometown then. Like,
yeah, but what I'm saying is like they're drawing people from like other places. I don't know how many people identify with being from Hamilton, especially when Toronto is less than 2 hours away, and probably half the crowd identifies more with Toronto than Hamilton.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it also goes to the whole factor of, it's kind of like the Yankees and the Mets, where like they both have their own teams. You watch them, but then if the Mets are in the playoffs, are you really going to root against them, or are you going to still root for them just because it's a New York team?
Right.
So most people are like that, even though if they have their sides, they're still going to root New York. So I feel like it'll probably be the same, where like if you have a company that is never there and is barely around, you know, I'm sure that they said, all right, fuck it. Because that's it's a Collision show. I'm sure people, this is not a main event thing like a pay-per-view where people are flying in and shit. I guarantee you most of them are local to go to a Collision. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't think people are going to fly out and stuff. Like when they go to London, you know, for All In, people are flying out everywhere, not just the, you know. So I do, to that effect, I do feel like, people will sit there and cheer just because, hey, you're in our country. You know what I'm saying? Like you're a New York, not New York, you're a U.S. Company that just came to us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
And it's way easier and cheaper to do that if you're coming from like mainland Europe or something, you know? So there's like probably a lot of people from mainland Europe going to that. But anyway, Collision.
Collision as a sign up, but so I still think it's. I have a feeling that the ratings are not going to be huge any week, to be honest with you, because now that you got the first one with Punk being out of the way, and that only drew in like 800,000, and then immediately dropped down to 600,000.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be too shocked, if it just stays around that or even less when people like have no kind of guidance. I mean, I guess it's for certain people because it's, for instance, like the game came out, and here's another side note, but it kind of goes back to Collision, is the game AEW is made for arcade style, and that's what I feel like Collision is, where Collision's like, to me it looked like, okay, we're gonna have a whole bunch of matches. It's kind of almost like one off, so it doesn't really matter. Like, we're just gonna have matches, and then next week could be totally different. Like, what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like a go.
Yeah, I mean, this week they had a bunch of those matches were for the Owen Hart tournament, so by definition those matches usually don't have any story to them. The story is the tournament, you know what I mean?
So that's what I'm saying. So like, of all the matches I've seen on like the past 2 Saturdays, it reminded me of like the whole arcade style, where some people love that. Some people that's why I'm probably gonna get the game, because like they love to just pick it up and go and play. Where Dynamite, or if you think about like SmackDown or whatever, they're more into like, they have a lot more stories involved and more in like engaging. So like there's a lot more shit involved, I feel like. But again, it's new. This is only like the third one, right? Or something like that.
Third Collision, yeah.
Yeah.
And like, Punk, we were saying Punk wasn't like, really performing. But he was still there a number of times. Like, he was in the backstage promo. He came out after the Ricky Starks match, and then whatever he did for the announcing for the last match, I'm sure they gave him his whole entrance and everything, and people could yell, "It's clobbering time," and whatever. He's
the face. He's the face of Collision. That's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, but like,
it's his show.
The first time, it felt like him just being there added this like legitimacy to the show, even whether you like him or not. It made the show feel like big time. This time I didn't get that at all. Having him there just felt like, how do we get this guy on screen for no reason? It didn't add anything.
What's if he came back and the contract for him to come back was only my friends could wrestle in Collision. Like, only the people, you know what I'm saying? Like, where it's all the people that actually are his friend and get along with him. That's what everyone was kind of speculating, saying, "Oh, this is probably what's going to happen." But I wonder if he has some pull of who's going to be there and who's not.
Yeah,
because they're making him the face of it, and seems like Tony Khan does whatever he wants. Well, so,
I mean, the main event being Samoa Joe, from what I heard, the one guy Punk said he wanted to face when he comes back was Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
So obviously he's going to face him in this tournament. So having Joe prominent there could be a lot of CM Punk's doing,
Yep. So I'm just curious to see how it goes. I have actually not much more to say to it, just besides the fact that yes, it is different, but I don't know if it's a different. I don't know if it's a difference that I can tune in every week.
There was one little thing I wanted to point out, because I thought it was like, I don't know, it was just a good example of what we've talked about with Punk when he came out and raised Ricky Starks' hand after the victory. Like the last time we talked about Punk, how it's like, he's this good dude apparently who wants to get everybody else over, but there's also this arrogance about him. And to what degree is his getting other people over like part of his arrogance at the same time? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get too psychologically into it, but the example of him coming out and raising Ricky Starks' arm, like, it was both arrogant and altruistic at the same time, right? Like, you had nothing to do with what went on. You just raised his hand in an effort to altruistically say like, hey, this guy is legit, check him out. You're trying to give him the rub. At the same time, you're doing that. It says like, I'm the important one here. By doing this is going to give him a rub, even though I haven't done anything tonight. I'm just going to come out here and be the star of the show and be the center of attention, even though I have no real significant role tonight.
Yeah,
It's both sides of CM Punk at the same time, his altruistic side and his arrogant side.
Yeah, it doesn't, because it didn't really mean anything for him raising Ricky Starks' hand.
Yeah,
It had nothing to do with anything of that. It's probably because he likes Ricky Starks and just wants to come out and be like, hey, like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like,
and
look
I'm
at me.
glad Go ahead.
No, I'm just like, look at me. I'm glad I did this and whatever. And I'm sure Ricky Starks didn't mind, because he probably thinks, all right, the more people that see him then. But I don't know.
I love Ricky Starks.
I do too.
Great.
I do too. But I'm just hoping he got more writers and he's not going to set himself thin, because nothing really kind of wowed me so much yet with Collision that made me think that I have to watch.
Yeah,
that's all.
And,
that's just my whole entire thing with it.
Yeah, I mean, and I've watched 3 now, and after last night, not even finishing the show and thinking like, man, I need to finish this show the next day. I'm like, yeah, I'm still gonna watch Dynamite every week, even when Dynamite's disappointing. I still watch it every week. After
something in there,
3 collisions, I'm like, this isn't grabbing me, even though the first one was very compelling. I'm not sensing that thing that, like, when I started phasing out of WWE and getting really disappointed, 5 years ago, whenever I stopped watching, there was like years of me watching where I was like, man, more than half of this is disappointing to me, but there was enough stuff that was still really enjoyable that kept me coming back every week, or that indicated like there might be something good next week. There was something compelling about it to keep me coming back. Collision, I'm already like, I don't even see the potential.
Yeah.
If there's a match card, that is intriguing, I'll watch it, but it's not going to be must see for me the way Dynamite is.
Yeah, and maybe that's the whole idea. Maybe they don't want it to be. I don't not for people to watch, but maybe they just wanted its own entity. But I feel like a lot of people will be pushed away. I feel like, because so far with the card that you have and stuff like that, it's not looking too. And I think I read a couple of comments saying that, like, yes, some people like it, but some of the comments people did say, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like what you said. It's a show that I feel like I don't have to watch. Yeah. And that's not, and I'll watch it if I can. I enjoy it, if I can, but I don't have to watch it. And that's kind of a bad sign if a bunch of people say that.
Yeah.
That's not what you should be going for.
It was also a weird, in fairness, this episode was off for some reason. I've talked about this before. I don't know why some episodes of this show or whatever show are just off.
I wonder if someone got hurt or whatever, and I don't know. Like I said, like,
what I mean? Like sometimes Dynamite, just like there's just like people who you see every week and they're performing great. They're all off one week at the same time. Promos are a little like hesitant, and matches are a little sloppy. Like this episode, it was like, Juice and Ricky, like 2 guys that I love to watch who are really good. And it was kind of a sloppy match. Statlander and Frost, like, I like both of those. Both of them the chemistry, and something was off there too. I don't know what it was. Everything just felt a little off. The Dustin Rhodes and Hobbs match was pretty good. And the thing with MJF was pretty good, and I didn't watch the last match, but I don't know. I can't explain it. So we'll see. I'm sure I'll still watch here and there.
Yeah, I'll watch it on next Saturday to see if I have the same feelings. If it's two times in a row, because it feels like since the first show, everything's been kind of going downhill for me for Collision. But I'll see next week and see, and maybe I could pause it when they have the intro for the song. I'll do my own intro to pump me up more than that. You hear that, you just want to go to sleep. You're like, oh, this is yay, and like, let me just smoke some weed and go to sleep. And that be like, let's have a match now in Brooklyn. Yeah. But well, that's all I have.
All right, till next time.